You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendall and Carl Dumler, Broncos country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
All right, we are live. Welcome into Building the Broncos. I'm Carl Dumler, and of course, joined here by Mr. Nick Kendall. Sorry, everyone, that I had to miss last week. Just lots going on. We had kind of a serious situation in my community that I was a part of, and so I'm just happy to be back. And it felt like an eternity in between shows. And so, yeah, Nick, good to see you, man. And we did think that we're going to start off our show a little bit different today.
Well, first I want to say that I missed you because I've done 3 shows since I've seen you last. So it's we're talking with Luke. I've done 2 with Chad recently. I've been across all 3 shows in the last week, but it's good to have a little bit of normalcy. Good to see your beard coming in very nicely there.
Yeah.
That's a really nice full one. And I don't know, just glad to have you back.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, no, like I said, it's good to get back to a little bit of normalcy for me. Normalcy considering what's going on in the world, but a little of just what's been going on with me personally. I've been knee deep in sewage for about a month in my house.
Not metaphorically, maybe metaphorically, but
well, yeah. But so finally found the problem, got it all fixed, and so I was able to shower for the first time and not worry that it would flood my house. Like I said, it's good to get back to this. But obviously, there's a lot going on in the world. And one thing we wanted to start off with here is Vic Fangio had a big comment today. He did a little interview, and we just thought it was pretty fitting for what's going on today. And as much as we all love football, obviously there's more important things in the world, and there's big things going on. And so I'll read exactly what he said, just because I don't want to take away from what he said at all. These are his words. It says, "I was shocked, sad, and angry when I saw what the policeman did to a handcuffed George Floyd on his stomach that led to his death. He should be punished to the fullest extent of the law for the crimes he has been charged with, in addition to being charged with treason for failing to uphold the badge and the uniform he was entrusted with. I have the utmost respect and admiration for the police and the job they do under trying circumstances. They allow us to have a great country on a daily basis. The Minnesota cop failed the 99% of the police that do a great job, and we are all paying a price for that. I've listened to many people talk the past few days, and the one that resonated with me the most was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He also recognized that 98 to 99% of the police do a tremendous job in tough situations, and we must do all we can to correct the small percentage that don't do a great job on a daily basis. Kareem was one person talking sensibly and with some solutions. This is not a political issue. We have had similar situations in St. Louis in 2014, Baltimore in 2015, and others recently and prior to those. It's a societal issue that we all have to join in to correct. Good deeds and doing the right things by all in society will far outweigh people pontificating with their words or any amount of money can solve. Sports brings people together, and I look forward to the Broncos and NFL leading that charge."
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, we want to not go off too far off the beaten path right now, but this is bigger than our platform here, and obviously probably not the right people to talk too much on that platform, but want to reiterate what Fangio said there. Obviously, reach out metaphorically, but also, I mean, literally to any of our listeners out there, African-American descent or minority of any sort. Happy Pride Month. I mean, gosh, it's just, if you're out there, we're all in this together. I mean, whether it be, I know we're not allowed to say the buzzword as far as the sickness going around right now, but again, we're all in this together, and the only way out is through. So I'm not the person to really expand and expound upon this topic, but listen to each other. Gosh, just treat each other with empathy. I don't know. Gosh.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I can't imagine the pain that so many of these people are feeling in the world. And it hurts just a little bit. No, I mean, like I said, I don't know the pain that so many are going through. And I live in a small community. We don't have what's going on in the big cities. I know you have a little bit of it going on for sure. And so I've been brought to tears quite a few times over the last few days, just hearing the stories and seeing the lives that have been shattered for so many different reasons. And it's just a trying time in our world, and a time that we have to rise up together, like you said, through compassion, through love, and listen to each other and the pain that is going on. And I like what James Campbell has to say here. Let's build each other up and not keep each other down. You know, like I said, anybody that needs to reach out and just talk, Nick and I are good listeners. I know we talk a lot on this show, but we are good listeners. I can tell you Nick has listened to many a bad days in my life, and I appreciate it very much. And while we won't fully understand the pain, we can be here for you in whatever way possible, because, you know, we love all of you. It goes way beyond just our football connection. We are people. And so just everybody stay safe.
Look after each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to, again, not the right people to talk too much on that. We'll get to, but again, Vic Fangio, the Broncos making statements on it today, official ones. And, you know, just, gosh, it's rare for me to be at a loss for words. And there's so much that I, you know, could say, want to say, but we just, you know, just look out for each other, really.
Yep.
But anyway, back to the topic at hand now that we've discussed that. And again, if anybody, you know, in the comments section, we're reading the comments. We're here with you guys. So if you want to talk about that, please just keep it civil and empathy. That's the word, just empathy. But, gosh, sorry.
Yeah.
Talking about Peter King.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have something you want to bring up?
No, I just, how about I get the introduction out of the way, then we can give you a chance here to kind of, like I said, I know how much this hurts, and so let me read this real quick here. Also, make sure, guys, that you can follow us on Twitter, because if you're not reaching out to us on here in the comments, you can find us on Twitter. Reach out to us. Like I said, we will talk to you. I have no problem giving out my number if you need somebody to talk to, and so you can find me at Carl Dumler MHH. And at Nick Kendall MHH. You can follow the podcast Twitter account at BTB Football Pod. Make sure you subscribe to our show and listen to our podcast and leave us a rating. And also make sure you're heading over to milehighhuddle.com of the Maven Coalition and Sports Illustrated. And I mean, we've got a lot of great content. Nick, we're going to talk about your article here today. And know that our podcast is powered by Overtime Media.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
And again, like I said, please reach out to us, guys. I'm not kidding that we want to talk to you. We want to be able to listen in whatever way we can, and hopefully give you some words of encouragement and love in a time like this.
Yep. So back to normalcy here, just for, a little bit of time. The Broncos, Peter King recently came out, and he yearly comes out with an article with the preseason power rankings, how he perceives these teams going into the season. And let me just say, Peter King, all season, been talking up the Broncos, John Elway, what they've done around Drew Lock, really excited about that. Vic Fangio on the defense. Well, that kind of fell hollow, I guess, when he released his rankings. And the Denver Broncos coming 20th in his overall rankings. So let me read what he said here. Denver's gone 5-11, 6-10, and 7-9 in the last 3 years, and those 3 losing seasons match the total of the Broncos in the previous 22 years. Absolutely bonkers stat there, which is why the emergency button has been pressed in the office of franchise architect John Elway. The Broncos acquired some short-term adrenaline for the defense and trades, defensive tackle Jarrell Casey, and cornerback A.J. Boye, and Bradley Chubb comes back to try to fulfill the pass rush promise that he flashed briefly as a rookie since he was the 5th overall pick just 2 years ago. I trust Fangio to put together a defense at least as solid as last year, when the Broncos had 8 of their last 12, when they held 8 of their last 12 foes to 20 points or less. Fangio will be tested early. Denver opens up with the resurgent Titans, the Steelers, the Bucks in the first 3 weeks, Derrick Henry, Big Ben, Tom Brady, some tests. Elway decided to try to match the arsenal of the Kansas City Chiefs in the offseason, adding Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler with the first 2 picks, and Fangio's a pretty magnanimous head coach to continue to see what Elway building the offense and not jump on the table for prime defensive draft pieces and plucking Melvin Gordon from the Chargers. Denver also has, obviously, Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton, Noah Fant at tight end, and Phillip Lindsay. And few quarterbacks, however, enter the season with as much pressure as Drew Lock. So this is going to be a fun team to watch. He finishes out. This is going to be a fun team to watch. I can see the Broncos in a rising division, anywhere between 2nd and 4th, anywhere between 6 and 11 wins. So really, he does say that the Broncos finished 20th, and that's not the best when stacking it all up. You're probably laughing at the comments or something there. But when he talks about him being 6 and 11, that is such a massive air bar. And that just shows how much that people, they want to believe in Drew Lock, but until they see it, we don't know what this Broncos team is going to be.
Right. And I have no problem with people ranking the Broncos anywhere, really, in the power rankings, because, like I said, we don't know. We have a lot of hope that Drew Lock's going to be a pretty good quarterback this next year, that he's going to rise up, especially with these new weapons that have been brought in. But the Broncos are one of the youngest teams in football. They're having a shortened offseason, obviously, with everything that's going on. So how quickly can those pieces get together? They lost a couple of their veterans that have been here for a long, long time, and Chris Harris and Derek Wolfe. There's a lot of reasons to question the success of this team moving forward. But there's also a lot of reasons for hope. Obviously, finishing 4-1 with Drew Lock and the pieces that they've added. Some of the veterans look pretty darn good. Jarrell Casey, I think I've voiced on here a few times how much I like him. And of course, you're getting back Bradley Chubb. You've brought in, like I said, all the weapons, second years for a lot of these guys that showed pretty well as rookies. I don't know. I mean, there's reason to show there's such variance with this team. Mm-hmm. And I did like this comment that I think that the 20 ranking is 4 or 5 too low. Raiders at 8. I would say I'd have more of a problem of the Raiders being at 8 than the Broncos being at 20, almost.
Yeah, that's putting a lot on the Derek Carr, that team. I don't see many pieces on that roster that I love.
Yeah. Well, I mean their first round pick possibly hurt. We don't know to the extent.
True.
It sounded pretty bad. Especially when you're talking about a guy that his legs are his moneymakers.
Yes. Yeah, Henry Ruggs, punctured leg, or leg injury. Sounds like a puncture. So
yeah, that's
definitely confusing. And before we keep on this content or this topic here, want to say hello to some people. Obviously, want to hear Matthew Olivio. See him often. Higher Learnings. Congrats on 7K. Carl, last night, Mile High Huddle surpassed 7K subscribers on YouTube. So that's the big time there. Paul's here. Higher Learning has obviously been great on here. Ernie Mays coming on Facebook. Good to see you, Ernie. Denver Broncos are the greatest teams. Can't disagree. James Campbell always coming in on here. Brian Kraft. Amen, Carl. Carl, you're probably used to that. Maybe not as much on the podcast, but that's amen indeed. I'll probably send you that sometime. Noah Strawn as well. So appreciate everybody in here today. And we have some apparently, hey, John Buana, the super chat's not working. Now, that is what it is sometime. We'll see about that. Let the boss know. Well, Carl, I'll let the boss know too. That's whatever. Yeah. That's not what we're here for. We're here to talk some football.
Here we go. It's coming through for at least one.
Came through. Yes.
Pabby coming in here with a huge super chat. Really appreciate it. And I love got the swag going there in the picture. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, MHH family. Working tonight. Just wanted to show some appreciations for all Nick and Carl do. Thank you, Nick, for showing up a couple times. Much appreciated. Love, MHH family. Go Broncos. And wow. Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you as well. We appreciate everyone that's here to be a part of this. I promise you there have been so many times that Nick and I outside of this have just talked about how impressed we are with all of you that come and join us for these shows. And just, it makes it amazing. It makes it just that much more worth it to be a part of this. We love it regardless, but you guys just add so much to it. So we appreciate it. And of course, got to get in
I've seen Brian a few times also. Brian, I'm not allowed to confirm or deny what is in this glass, so I'll leave it to your imagination just on the stream. But I see you asking every single time we're on, and I see you. Yeah, so again, confirm or deny, but It's not water. This one's not water.
Of course, Nad Ludlow had to come in with the hashtag Nick Spear Fund. So there we go. And always gotta enjoy that. Thank you, Nad. Appreciate it.
So Peter King, 20th overall for the Denver Broncos. I don't have any. I guess I actually do take a little issue with that, especially after he's talked so highly about them. Let's see some teams that are ranked just above the Broncos that I would take the Denver Broncos over them. The Miami Dolphins are ranked 19.
Wow. Okay.
Miami Dolphins, Arizona Cardinals are ranked 18. Maybe Kyler Murray, but you can argue that one. The Chicago Bears with Mitchell Trubisky. I understand that the NFC North really looks like the Packers are going to be one of the biggest regression candidates in the entire NFL this season, in my opinion. But the Bears, they're not good. The Rams, they seem like they're falling apart. So I don't know. I have a lot of contention with some of those teams listed above the Broncos. It's top 10, by the way. Just might as well talk about it. Pittsburgh at number 10, Dallas at number 9. Oakland at number 8. That's the one that's just what the heck is – or excuse me, Vegas at number 8. What the heck's going on? Tennessee at 7. I put the Broncos right neck and neck with Tennessee. Honest to God, I know Tennessee made the AFC Championship last year.
They lost some major pieces to that defense. And Derrick Henry, can you really count on him taking on the same load as he had last year? Running backs can't do that. I mean, it's been proven over and over again. When you have a season like he had, you expect at least a 20% drop the next season.
Yes. And there's a reason they didn't sign Ryan Tannehill to a 5-year contract. Ryan Tannehill, one great year. Great to be excited about that. But we don't know what Ryan Tannehill really is going to be yet. Is that a major outlier season because of the type of offense? I mean, they do have weapons. A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith's an interesting tight end. Corey Davis, gosh, I can't even remember the wide receiver they took because he's been so non-impactful.
Yeah. That was my guy too. I hate that he has made me look so bad. He's one of them actually that made me change my evaluation of wide receivers.
Yeah.
He did. I started going a little bit more towards athletic traits after him.
It's just why it's kind of scary to go after guys that aren't going up week in and week out against the best of the best competition.
Yeah.
Obviously, unless they're like absolutely athletic superstars, then it's like, that's different. So, but I mean, he went 5th overall, so you were not alone. That's not.
Others liked him, and
that are making big decisions.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you there. There's a lot of teams I question how he came to his. I think he relied a lot on last year.
Yeah.
Except for the Raiders. I still don't get that one because Derek Carr is who Derek Carr is. He's not changing. Like, he's been this guy, this average quarterback for years. And so that one, it still makes no sense. I don't think they added some pieces, but not enough to make me go, wow, look at them. Their defense was like 31st or 32nd last year, according to DVOA. Their offense was not explosive. Yes, they added a couple pieces, but it's still like as bad as the Broncos were on offensive explosive players, they still had more than what the Raiders had.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and it's a whole mess there. And like I said, Tennessee, I honestly probably and when I come up with my season results, I'm going to have the Broncos winning that game. Yeah.
I think I will as well. Granted, Denver Broncos weeks 1 and 2 at home, pretty much one of the hardest places to win in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
So finishing it out, Seattle 6, Tampa Bay 5, San Francisco 4, New Orleans 3, Baltimore 1, and unfortunately the same team you had number 1 last year turned to be correct, the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. Kansas City Chiefs are the best quarterback in football. Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in football until proven otherwise. So unfortunate, but if the Broncos want to win the Super Bowl, they have to jump that Chiefs hurdle. So hopefully that'll get better. And I guess the other teams to talk about here, number 23, the Los Angeles Chargers. I guess he does not really believe in Justin Herbert if he's going to be playing this year. Tyrod Taylor, obviously. That being said, the Chargers, the thing is their defense could be the best in the NFL. It's just they're kind of like the 2016 Broncos, where I don't know if I trust anything to do with their offense. Really. They have some pieces here and there, but just not many playmakers.
That team went 9-7.
Yes. So with a great defense, it could happen.
Right. And that's honestly, I mean, if I was ranking the teams in the division, I would go Chiefs. I'd probably go Broncos next, Chargers 3rd, Raiders 4th.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, that Chargers defense is just going to be outstanding. It's going to keep them in a lot of games. where they're not going to be leaning on their quarterback to have to do a ton, which will help protect their offensive line. That's still, I mean, it's better than it was last year, but it's still pretty weak. And they do have some weapons there as well. I mean, Keenan Allen, he's a pretty good quarterback. Obviously, their running back, they just paid their running back, Eckler. And so, yeah, I guess the other thing with the Raiders that I just don't like, I don't feel like they always put the pieces in place that fit their talent. And so, such as adding Ruggs, I still don't like. I understand he's not just a deep threat, and you can use his speed to get open in a hurry, those kind of things. But I always thought Jerry Jeudy was a better fit in the Gruden offense. And I was shocked when they took Ruggs because I just don't think that they're going to be able to maximize him to the full ability that he has. Because Derek Carr doesn't like to throw deep. Mariota doesn't like to throw deep. Both of them were two of the worst in the NFL when it came to that statistic. Look at Mariota last year. He had a quarterback rating over 100 and got benched because he wasn't willing to challenge teams down the field. He wasn't willing to take any chances at any throws. Derek Carr is the same way. And so, again, I have a hard time seeing them fully maximize the talent that they just added.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
And Terry coming in from Canada with Carl's, I'm just going to go for it, Carl's Shit Fund. That's a good one. I'm in. That's better than Nick's Beer Fund. I really do like that one.
It's going to be a thing now. Dang it.
I don't know. That one might be here to stay. That one kills me. I definitely agree with you about the Raiders being a question mark with the Chargers. It's just there's so many pieces on that Chargers offense. I used to be a little bit more old school, defensive first, but over the years, really offense is just so much more stable. And the Chargers just get so injured. So I've been hurt by the Chargers too many times saying, look how good this defense looks on paper. They got Phillip Rivers. They're a team to contend with in the AFC, and then half their roster gets injured. I mean, I swear to God, there's Chargers voodoo dolls out there or something. I don't know. But I'm so afraid to pick the Chargers. So until proven otherwise, given how much Tyrod Taylor does not do much for me, I don't know if Justin Herbert's going to be a difference maker right out the gates. I'd probably put the Raiders before them, but it's a battle for third and fourth. I think there's a tier difference between the Chiefs and the Broncos. There's a tier difference, unfortunately. Yep. And then a tier difference between the Broncos and those other teams. But that could just me being biased. I really try to be not biased and almost pessimist if I can to take off those homer glasses, but I won't bet on the Broncos if it's, out there, unless it's kind of a side bet with Bronco fans. But that's that really stung me. And again, like the Miami Dolphins at 19 above the Broncos. I mean, I get that you might like Tua, and they had a lot of picks this year, but they played way above their talent level last year. Brian Flores is going to be a heck of a coach, but I don't think they have enough difference makers. They just don't do it for me. Maybe it's because the AFC East is so terrible. Like if you put the Broncos in the AFC East, switch them, let's say, with the Dolphins. The only team that really concerns me, I mean, obviously the Patriots are still the Patriots, but it feels like a down year this year. The Bills kind of concern me. That concerned me to go up the Buffalo, but I would take my chances in the AFC East and the AFC West every time this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think the AFC West could be one of the more competitive divisions other than the NFC West.
NFC South.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they are pretty tough right now.
Yes.
All right, we got another hashtag Nick's Beer Fund coming in from Terry Randall. Appreciate that. And then we've got Gary Palmer coming in here, making up for missing some MHH. I love the sportscasters underrating us. It will be so much fun to watch them eat their words. I agree. I can't wait until the Broncos are past that 3-win mark for all the times that everybody's going to be tweeting, is it Nick
Wright.
Nick Wright, yeah. Just letting him know that he was way off on that thought process.
He should just like fulfill that role of just a Bronco hater because he's from Kansas City. He loves Patrick Mahomes. He's kind of he's not stupid, but he's not really he's not there to give you real insight. He's there to give talking points and get inflammatory responses, which, here we are. So he could make a personality out of being a Bronco hater.
Right. And you're right. It has been kind of a weird offseason just looking at these national broadcasters where a lot of them have been very complimentary of Drew Lock. But then when it comes to the actual team, they struggle to go to the next step.
Yeah.
And the team finished 7-9. So it's kind of one of those things of thinking, okay, if they were 7-9 and Drew Lock only played 5 games, don't you think that should mean they're going to take the next jump? But it is. It's tough because you have to think, like I said, of the division. You have the Chiefs. They're always going to be ranked as the number 1 team in the division as long as they have Patrick Mahomes.
Unless there's a special roster.
Right, exactly. It's going to take a lot to dethrone that type of preseason ranking for them.
It's just such a stability marker. That Patrick Mahomes by himself is worth 9 to 10 wins every year.
Yep.
You can put him on any team, you're probably pulling out that many wins. That's a good example. Yeah. Okay, so enough glorifying Patrick Mahomes. I know it's
right, but it is. I think just Broncos 3 straight losing seasons. It's hard to want to go ahead and take that leap and be that first person that wants to say they're going to take the next step. I have seen Colin Cowherd. He's one that has the Broncos make the playoffs. He has them actually in his top 10 power rankings. But he is one that is willing to take bigger leaps than a lot of national media guys. Others, they don't like to because they don't want to. The likelihood of a team making a giant leap is less than of them staying closer to what they were. The 49ers going from the number 2 pick to the Super Bowl, it just doesn't happen very often. I know the Broncos went from number 2 pick to the Super Bowl not too long, but they also added Peyton Manning. So kind of a difference there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Obviously, again, it's the quarterback. It all comes back to the quarterback. It's almost like cheating for analysts.
Right.
You get such they're very predictive, duh, but it's something that so you'll cling to it. Drew Lock's an unknown, so staking your claims onto him. Maybe there's even a little bit of a Baker Mayfield effect where last year, if you were hyping the Browns, maybe you're like, man, Broncos are the hot team with the quarterback I don't really know yet. How can I trust them? Especially with offensive line questions. There's enough there where, fool me once.
Right. And like I said, I don't have as much of a problem with them ranked at 20. I would probably put them closer to like 15 personally right now.
Yeah.
Just because I like Drew Lock. There were still some questions of things that I saw him do that make me not quite ready to put them in the top 10 kind of thing. Yeah. And still some questions on some other positions like tackle, like you said. But having the Raiders at 8, that's the one that still just really I don't get it one bit. Other than the John Gruden, everybody just still loves John Gruden. For some reason, that guy just gets so hyped up that he is like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, he's a personality. So Vic has a little bit of personality too. It's just you have to like the gruff, grumpy old man. Like if you like Clint Eastwood and whatever movie he's been in the last 10 years, you probably like Vic Fangio. But yeah, no, that really does bother me. I guess the biggest thing with the Broncos is they had a really good defense last year, and they have an improving offense. Like, there's no way that the offense is going to be worse than last year. So they got 7 wins last year. Somebody already said how they got 7 wins last year. It was somebody in the comments section. Maybe you can chime back in. Here we go. Mitch Man. As the O-line goes, it's poop, no questions. So O-line truther here, but that's okay. That's the biggest question on offense. The biggest question on offense is how good Drew Lock's going to be, but O-line is number 2. But so is last year's offensive line. They still managed 7 wins, and those were – there's a certain amount of games you have every year that could go either way. You have games where you definitely got your butts handed to you and you should have lost. There's games where you did the opposite. And there was enough games last year where they could have gone either way, and it fell about 50-50. Yeah. So the Broncos earned those 7 wins last year. It's not a mirage. It's not like, again, the Packers going 13-3. How the heck that happens, Lord knows. They could go 7-9 this year, even though they have Rodgers. Like, they have issues. Yeah. So I think that with the Broncos defense being a year better with Fangio, the offense having more weapons and better quarterback play, maybe 6 wins. Again, that's what he says. I guess he does say the floor is 6 wins of everything that goes wrong. But predicting that in an outright pool, I would go 8.5 wins as the over-under. So 20, just a little low, especially with the defense and everything they have going on there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And so I was trying to see if we had any good questions coming in here. Are you ready to kind of switch gears and get to some of our questions?
Yeah, absolutely, always. So, guys, obviously, we'd love to have it. Chats here. Obviously, Terry Randall's here. Mile High or Miller High Rob always coming in. Good to see you. Nice Drew Lock pick. And higher learning. Yeah, Nate Burleson does always seem to have the Broncos corner. That being said, he's also a Chiefs guy. Good what is it, Good Morning Football? That's probably one of my more enjoyable programs out there. I don't always agree with them, but I think they do a good job of fun and good analysis.
Right. Yeah. It's not just fluff pieces. It's actual thought-provoking questions and digging into some things. And I'm impressed at how much they know about each team.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
That's something a lot of these guys, and I feel a little bit for guys like Nick Wright because he's having to cover all sports.
Yes.
So I understand when a guy like that says Broncos are going 3-13, he's having to watch basketball, baseball, football, hockey, soccer, golf, and having to be up on everything on all those sports. That's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. Like, somebody could ask me what's going on in the NBA or what teams are great. I watch a little bit of Nuggets. I couldn't tell you anything beyond, LeBron James. Oh,
yeah. Carl, well, this is America. We should be getting mad about this. Don't make excuses for Nick Wright. We hate him. It's personal. We hate him now.
Yes.
So.
Okay. I'm sorry. But
this is sports. This is the only time where it's okay to be irrational. I give you the thumbs up. I'm not here to bring that for you, but we hate him. And that's good to have an enemy.
So. I'm not disagreeing. I do hate his take on the team, and I'm like, that's stupid. But again, for a guy that's trying to cover that many things, it's just not possible. I'm sorry. We'd all be terrible at that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised ESPN does that all the time, where they have guys covering, and I guess he's Fox Sports, isn't he? But yeah. Anyway.
So Charlie Beagle coming in here, the point I made earlier, how the Broncos they were right where they should have been given their roster. The Broncos did have 4 games where they, I guess, pulled defeat from the jaws of victory, and those are good ones. But the Broncos also had games last year where they were, in my opinion, outplayed to evenly matched, and it just kind of went their way.
Yeah.
Honest to God, both Chargers game, like that first half, how they got to that lead, after that, it did not look good. But they had a couple explosive plays, Kareem Jackson knocking the ball out. So that was one. The second Chargers game where they got that lucky, call it as it is, pass interference down the field and hit the walk-off field goal, game-ending field goal, whatever you want to call it. And then the Raiders game. That last Raiders game, I thought the Raiders beat them up and down the field. They looked better, but the score didn't indicate that at the end of the game. And granted, who wins is what matters. But that's just kind of how the NFL goes. Like the Broncos absolutely deserved to beat the Titans last year. The Titans were bad against the Broncos. Broncos didn't deserve to beat the Chiefs. So categorize those games that way. And that was pre-lock. Good point, Charlie. But again, you're going to have games like that again this season.
Right. And I thought this was a good point of the Nick Wright piece. That the teams he had the Broncos beating were playoff teams last year.
Yeah.
And he had them losing to everybody else. And so it's just kind of a weird, I don't know.
I would love to bet with him on each game.
Yes.
Nick, hit me up. You know my Twitter. $10 even. Just low stakes. I just want to earn that money.
Here's a good one from Fronty Pro 4X. The question I still stand by is Drew Lock ready to compete and keep up with Patrick Mahomes? Regardless of how good Denver's D might be, Mahomes will score points on you. Well, yeah, they were the best offense in football last year. No question about it. And Mahomes obviously being the best quarterback that can score on plays that no team should be able to score on. I hate to always bring this up, but that left-handed throw still haunts me. I have nightmares of that play.
The thing I hate about him most is he's just such a slippery little shit in the pocket. It's like a Houdini little thing where you're doing great, you're playing great on the back end, you're not creating any openings or anything, slowly but surely, and then all of a sudden he squirts out of the goddamn pocket and makes a stupid throw. Like, you have him. Yes. No, God damn it.
Yeah. Well, and then he has like this smile on his face, like, I knew I was going to do that.
It's too easy.
Yeah. But no, you're right. The Broncos, this is why they went out and improved the offense. They've shown over the last few years. 2016, they still had maybe the best defense in football, still an absolutely elite defense. One of the top. Well, I think DVOA had them as ranked as like the 5th best defense of the last decade.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, they were still an elite defense and were struggling to win games. And it's just been slowly going downhill since then. And this is why teams that try to build up elite defenses, like you just can't keep them together. By the time you've got like a 2-year window with them, tops. Broncos said 2015, 2016, and then people started going away after that. And so the Broncos obviously saw, hey, we've got to go score points. They went out and added to the offense with Gordon, Judy, Hamler. They're hoping their second-year guys can really make a big difference this year. Glasgow added to the offense as well. So they know they have to probably score 27 to stand a chance against the Chiefs, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And somebody asked Wilkinson's injury. He had a surgery on his foot, I believe. So hopefully he will be on the good to go later on. I see a picture of him here, and he's on a scooter with a wrapped up foot. So hopefully he'll be healthy. I mean, hopefully we don't see Wilkinson this year. That'd be ideal. I mean, just because that means the offensive line is healthy, you don't need to get to him. But he's a guy that, when he's out there, you're like, I wish it was better. But the drop off after him is when it gets scary. We saw that last year with Max Crosby and Jake Rogers absolutely just getting annihilated.
All right. Dennis Woods coming in here with the super chat. I'm really looking for Vaughn to have a big year, especially with Chubb back. # state of being from Michigan. # DB for life. I agree. I think he and Bradley Chubb, it wouldn't surprise me to see 30 sacks between the two if they both can stay healthy. Yeah. I mean, they have improved interior defensive linemen that will take some pressure off as well. So, I'm hoping that's the case. If they're able to get sacks, that also means the Broncos are winning games.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So Jody always coming in here, frequent on the show. Good to see you, Jody. Who would you rather have, Quentin Nelson over Chubb and Ringside Barrett? So I guess it's Barrett with Nelson versus Chubb. I mean, obviously with hindsight bias, probably taking Barrett and Nelson, but I'm not mad about Chubb at all. But if we're going to play hindsight all the way, I'm sorry, Quentin Nelson's great. Get rid of the guard. Give me Derwin James. I'll take Barrett and Derwin James over Chubb if we're going to be playing these hypothetical games.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Quentin Nelson is great, but I'm not sure that he adds a whole lot of wins to his team.
Offensive line is so weird because it takes I always bring it back to the Hawkeyes, but last year the Iowa Hawkeyes had 3 NFL caliber starting offensive linemen. Really, they did. Their left tackle, Alaric Jackson, going to be playing the NFL, be up in this next draft, might be a first-round pick. They had Tyler Linderbaum, will be a redshirt sophomore this year, extremely talented. I mean, belongs in the NFL. Watching him, better than some of the centers I watched this year, no doubt. And then Tristan Wirfs, 13th overall pick. The Hawkeyes, though, had really bad issues at the guard position. It lost them games. Yep. So the offensive line, when you have good players, it's great, but it's so much more important to have 7 solid guys that you can rely on rather than having one really good one, especially when it's a guard, when they're not as hard to find. I mean, if we're going to be talking that hypothetical, I'll take Chubb and Dalton Reisner over Nelson and hypothetical second-round pick the next year. Yeah. So.
Nope, I'm with you there. And, of course, Terry Randall coming in, # Nick Swearjar.
I'm riled up, man. There's a lot of emotions going on, and I need to place them somewhere right now. So I'm saying
it's coming out of here. That's all right.
Potty mouth.
But no, I'm with you. Let's see. Got a couple other questions coming in here. I'm hoping Reisner is better than Nelson. That would be really nice.
Even if he's not, though, you're talking about the 5th overall pick versus the 41st. I mean, that's a difference. Yep. That's a difference maker. And I understand Nelson really can help. He's fun. You want to have that grinding personality. But I'm sorry. I'm here to embrace 2020 in football, and that means throwing the football. And having one good guard, that's great. I'm wanting to use it in the pass game. I know Nelson matters in the pass game, but tackles are more valuable. And Nelson's bread and butter is he's really good in the pass game. Don't get me wrong, but he's just so powerful in the run game. So, oh, man, it was a matter of time. It's been weeks. Carl, I got to ask you, I see people out on the lawn here. A beautiful day in Iowa City, 93 degrees, playing a game with boards where they're throwing things. What is that game called? There's a target. Cornhole. You're okay with me. We're friends. It's not bags. It's cornhole. This is Iowa cornhole. Okay.
Yeah, good. They call it the Cornhole Championships. Yes. Even on ESPN, they call it that. So that's the official name of the game.
Oh, we got a Raiders fan in here. I'll give him light of day. How you doing, winter? Nice Christmas tree. Raiders suck. So if you're going to say it, then we'll just call you out. Whatever. So, yeah, beautiful day today. It's good to see that. Second best guard in the NFL. I guess you could say that. Nelson is the second best guard in the NFL, but I mean, Broncos didn't even have Chubb for 3/4 of the season last year, and the Broncos finished better than the Colts. So how much does that guard change in the team? I know it takes way more than one player. It takes way more than Chubb, but still, I don't know. He's a great player. It's about taking great players. But when it comes down to positional value and how much easier it is to find interior offensive linemen, you only have a top 5 pick. Gosh, how many of the Broncos even had in their history? That's a good question. Continue. I can name Von Miller and I can name Bradley Chubb, and that's it.
Well, they had one during the John Elway draft that they traded to get John Elway. So in 83, they had one. And I feel like maybe one more. I can't remember. But, yeah, no, it's one of those – if you take a position like that or running back, you have to have a Hall of Fame player come out of that to make it worth it.
Yeah.
Where Bradley Chubb, he could be a 12-sack kind of guy, year in, year out for you, and be completely worth that pick. So, I mean, we'll see if he can get over his injuries because this is his second ACL injury. That does worry me a little bit of his long-term health moving forward. But, I mean, we obviously saw his rookie year. The guy was absolutely explosive. Ended up 12.5 sacks, broke Von Miller's sack record as a rookie. And so I definitely would rather have that than Quentin Nelson. And I think it's hard because Bradley Chubb missed all of last year. And so everybody's kind of going, oh, now he's not worth it. You can't blame a guy for getting hurt. That just, it happens. And
I mean, there are instances where you can, but it's involves some real dumb stuff going on. So continue. Yeah. Maybe somebody, if you're in a nightclub and you shoot your leg, that's like, maybe there's a little bit of blame to be had there, but
right.
Continue.
But it is. It's just the guard position. You're right. It's easier to find a high quality guard that does well for you compared to a high quality edge rusher. And this is why those guys get paid huge money. It's why they're one of the top 3 highest paid positions in football.
Yeah.
Teams realize they are the greater value. Even if you have an average or an above average pass rusher compared to an elite guard, you're still going to take the above average pass rusher. They're still going to make more money.
Yeah, you're right. So a little pause break here. Everyone, wishful thinking, Charlie. That's not the one I wanted to get. Buana Beast, everyone drop a quick like. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, I think Chad is trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before the season kicks off. Cool. We'll see. I mean, might as well just throw it out there into the universe and maybe it'll come back. Who knows? But appreciate everyone here today. Obviously, if you can follow Carl at Carl Dumler MHH, myself at Kendall MHH. BTB Football Pod coming in. Obviously, you can get your merch here. Beautiful Building the Broncos hat at thehuddleuppod.com.
I forgot mine.
My
daughter hid. I know my daughter hid my hat, and she won't tell me where it is.
Well, now I'm not upset about it because that's adorable. So,
but you find it adorable. I find it irritating.
It doesn't affect me at all, other than I can laugh at you. So,
right. Yeah,
I'm for it. But anyway, back to the thing at hand here. So. Next season, kicking off here, I just want to ask you, what is the one thing that people aren't really talking about that you're worried about the most? We haven't really had too much communication. I mean, we're talking every day, but honestly, with other stuff going on, we're enough friends now that we're not talking about football 24/7.
Right.
So something right now that just looking at this Broncos team right now grinds your gears, maybe just a little bit of pause in regard. It might be something minuscule, that you might even be silly, but something that worries you.
I guess I would say a little bit. Everybody has like this absolute high expectations that our rookies are just going to come in and just tear up the NFL. And statistically speaking, I mean, we're both numbers people. We like our numbers. Rookies struggle, even the best rookies. And so for me, it's a little bit towards that of I want to temper some of that a little bit. I do think that they are an upgrade over what the Broncos had last year, but I could see early in the season some struggles on the offense for everybody to get on the same page. I do know that Drew Lock is working with some of the Broncos players, but it's not the rookies yet. They're still on the East Coast. So the people he absolutely needs to be working with are not there. And I don't know why that's happened. But so, yeah, like I said, I just think early on you're going to see some struggles, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Jerry Jeudy closer to like the 700, 750-yard area instead of the 1,000-yard area.
It's your daughter's hat now. I mean, you're right. He's right.
Yes, everything in my house is my daughter's. She, except for the other day, she took out a crystal bowl, and my mother-in-law was there and was doing the like face went white, thinking my daughter's going to drop it. And I tried to tell my daughter, said, if there's anything in this house you are not allowed to touch, that is it. But why, Dad?
Well, when I was younger, I used to mess with every single dial button in the house. And my grandma stayed at my grandparents' house, and she's like, Nicholas, stop that. I'm like, sorry, Grandma, I just have to. What a stupid little brat. And then they'd come up to me to make me stop, and I'd like do it more frantically. Like I have to freaking finish before they get here and stop me. Yeah. But Charlie Beagle coming in again here asked the thing that people not really talking about. I will definitely have an article on this at some point. Hopefully nobody steals my idea. Let me think, Carl. But James and Callahan, just like last year, my biggest two concerns on this Bronco team by far are the offensive tackle position and the cornerback position, parentheses, outside of the quarterback question, that is Drew Lock. So the reason that is, and the reason the Broncos probably didn't make the investment that you'd see otherwise, is because they have such large investments right now in James and Callahan, both guys with extensive injury histories, both guys playing arguably the second most important position on a team. 2 to 4. That's where they're at. So both those guys, the Broncos need them this year. And if they're hurt again last year, let's say even half the season, that could tank the season. It really could. So those two guys, good call, Charlie Beagle there. That's one that concerns me a lot. Going into the offseason, cornerback and tackle are the biggest concerns I have for this roster. And it's just because can't trust James and Callahan right now. I just haven't seen it. How can you trust them?
Yeah. So, hey, we have a Raiders fan coming in here.
Coming back.
Oh, man. From winter, I'm going to be honest, I think the Denver Broncos will be 9-7. Can't argue with that. Broncos going to be a beast with Noah Fant. Raiders better than Broncos, by the way. You were so good till then. But subscribe to Mile High Huddle. Appreciate that, even a Raiders fan. Glad we can have a civil conversation about the Broncos and where they might be.
False flag. He's lying. Raiders fans.
Trying to draw us in and then just –
there weren't enough spelling mistakes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's super nice. I take that back. I'm lashing out. I'm being a jerk right now. I appreciate you coming here and being
we do. I mean, we love talking to anybody about football, even Raiders fans. So appreciate that. I'm hoping actually to make it down to Vegas this year for the game.
That would be
if they have fans. We'll see.
For sure. And Bill coming in with a good one here. Broncos ILBs in coverage. That's obviously a concern. I mean, I think it was Joseph Rolls, who works for Mile High Report, who had a little back and forth with this week. Nothing crazy, just some talking about linebacker and how valuable it is in the Fangio defense. Broncos did try to move for Patrick Queen. Obviously, in the past, Vic Fangio, they did use an early pick on Roquan Smith. So there's some debate on how much he does value that linebacker position. Perhaps a little bit of a luxury compared to some other positions, but still, linebackers in coverage, that is a concern. That's going to be a concern until it's not. The thing that's probably makes me feel a little better about it is linebackers in coverage is probably a concern for 75% of the teams in the league. I mean, how many good linebackers are there that are great in space and coverage and with speed to get everything down, or just aren't complete liabilities in the run game? So that is a concern, but it's something that is more of it's kind of like offensive tackle in the NFL. A lot of teams don't have the offensive tackle play.
I like this one from Jerry Holland. I think my only worry is that Shermer has amazing tools, and to not get creative and use them to full potential would be a travesty. I mean, he's had his ups and downs as an offensive coordinator. Yeah. Let's just be honest with the situation. He's had moments of greatness like he had in Minnesota, and then he had his struggles, obviously, with the Giants. He's had times where he was working with Andy Reid and the offense was successful, but there again, do you credit that to Andy Reid or do you credit that to Shermer? So he's a little bit of an unknown.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I remember we had somebody from Big Blue Review on, the senior editor of the site, and he talked about, the Shermer offense and some current concerns. And one thing he said is that Patrick Shermer, he will go to that inside zone time and time again. I just read this and I'm hurt. This is me reacting real time. I'm going to cry for the second time today. So that's a concern because the inside zone, when it's not working, guess what he's going to do? He's going to go back to it. So hopefully it'll break. It does. In his mind, probably he thinks it sets up the play action. We don't have to go down that whole analytics wormhole of there's no correlation between the run game success and play action pass. But if you're curious about that, reach out to me. There's actually a lot of interesting data on that.
Yeah. Jody Moncrief, better D, Chargers or Denver?
Oh, man, it hurts to say, but the Chargers secondary is so good. I mean, the Broncos have good safeties, but I mean, you don't have questions about Bradley Chubb with the knee. You got Bosa and Ingram there. They have a first-round pick coming into their own. Your boy, Jerry Tillery. Obviously, Casey Hayward's been one of the most underrated cornerbacks in football over the last 5 years. Derwin James might be the best defensive back in football. Desmond King, Chris Harris Jr., Kenneth Murray, first-round pick. On paper, I have to go with the Chargers, but am I going to give them the injury factor? Just like close your eyes and throw a dart at a board, and 3 of those guys are going to be out for multiple games because the Chargers built their stadium on an Indian burial ground or something. But probably on paper, I go with the Chargers. Broncos offense, though, gives them the tilt because it's about the best team.
All right, Kathleen Martin coming in. Which tight ends and wide receivers do you both think will start in the Broncos' first game? I'll start. So, of course, you got Sutton. I mean, that's an automatic.
Yes.
I do think Jerry Jeudy's going to be a starter day one.
Yes.
And then I think in the slot, I'll go Hamilton. And then Noah Fant.
Give me one more tight end. 11 personnel and 12 personnel. 11's 3 wide receivers set, folks. 12 personnel is 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers.
I'll go Vinette as my other one.
I think you're going to see enough rotation of snaps and usage where you can argue Hamler or Hamilton as the wide receiver 3. But that's probably the way I'd go. That's the only one that I'd have some contention with. So, and at some point, I mean, it's way down the line. We're probably talking a July podcast, but we really need to sort through this Broncos tight end room because there are a lot of names.
Yeah.
A lot of names.
Usually Shermer does keep 4 tight ends.
Yes.
So kind of be thinking of 4 names to fit that. But also it's a little bit hard because you have some hybrid players. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
We have Kevin Peterson coming in. Raiders are a joke as always. It's a room in the Arena League for them.
I'm really curious. Then we're going to get out of here pretty soon, but something I want to talk about real quick. The Raiders move into Vegas. This is going to become everybody's favorite away game. So Oakland, I mean, let's be real. Nobody was trying to go visit the Raiders Stadium. Oakland's kind of its own thing, a little bit hostile. So now you're having this total different thing. It's not like the Chargers where it's going to be an empty stadium or a soccer stadium, whatever you want to say, but very corporatized. I think a lot of away fans. The Raiders going to lose a decent home field advantage because, I mean, the cheap flights to Vegas, beautiful new stadium. I mean, people are going to Vegas like crazy. It's the spot it's one of the spots to go. I just feel like they could really lose a home field advantage. It kind of almost become like the Dolphins where you have displants and stuff.
I think they're going to gain some advantages in free agency. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Let's be honest. A lot of players do like Vegas a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot to do there for having fun. But I do think you're right that you're going to lose your home crowd a little bit. I never would have flown out to a game in Oakland. You're right. Vegas, one, it is cheap to fly to Vegas. Absolutely cheap. Hotels are cheap. Food is cheap. Everything there is cheap, but you still lose lots of money.
Yeah.
And so I do think that a lot of people, that is going to be a game. If they're looking for an away game to go to, Vegas is going to be a favorite for a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So that'll be interesting to follow. I mean, the Raiders really could lose a home field advantage because they really could be rocking with some – gosh, I mean, it's kind of like the Buffalo Bills Stadium. People aren't really traveling there to go to the game, so the people that are there are just rabid fans. So we're following. We got one coming in from Facebook right now. Frankie Apicata. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, Frankie. Hey, guys, I'm a Chad and Zach regular, but I'm checking out your guys' show tonight. Which bubble player is a sleeper to make the squad? So, Frankie, thank you very much. Hopefully you are enjoying building the Broncos tonight, as is everyone. Appreciate you guys joining in. A bubble player that we think might make the squad. Well, off the top of my head, man, okay. Somebody that I think will be an interesting player to make the squad. I think Patrick Morris, I would not sleep on him completely yet. I think the Broncos, they brought him off the waiver wire last year, and as you were talking about earlier, the Broncos, everybody was slating talking Patrick Morris as a starting center, and the Broncos used a third-round pick, 83 overall, I believe, on Lloyd Cushenberry. Lloyd Cushenberry should be the guy who's the odds-on favorite to be the starter, but they like Patrick Morris. They did. So I would say that Patrick Morris has a shot to make the squad. Now, one thing he does have going against him, we did see him at guard last year, but he's so small. He does not have length where I don't really see as much center/guard versatility that you want for a depth offensive lineman. But, I mean, there's a camp battle to be had just yet between Lloyd Cushenberry and Pat Morris. So wait and see on that one. And I think that would be talk about a bubble sleeper. I think he's an interesting one to follow.
I'll go Fred Brown. For the wide receiver room.
Okay. That is an interesting one.
Yeah, that's a big-time sleeper because I do think a lot of people have this idea that you've got, of course, Sutton, Hamler, Judy, all locked in. A lot of people have Tim Patrick and Hamilton locked in.
Don't forget Winfrey's still there. Tyree Cleveland. I avoided wide receiver because there's so many names.
I know, there are, but I just think Fred Brown is a really good fit in this system. He's very quick and can get open in a hurry, which is perfect for Pat Shurmur kind of system. And I think that he could be a special teams contributor that they like. That's my one question with a couple of these other guys. Like Hamilton, he wasn't really a huge special teams guy. So I still think he makes the roster just because he's a veteran that fit well with Drew Lock last year. But I've always liked Fred Brown's game. For some reason, he has just been one of my favorite wide receivers to watch in preseason. And it's frustrated me that he did not make the roster last year a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably got it. You're talking. I thought my guy was a sleeper. Yours is probably even a little bit more sleeper if you want to talk some odds later. And I think the probably area that has the most volatile nature of somebody to potentially make the roster would probably be cornerback/safety. It's going to be an open battle there. And obviously we talked about tight end earlier, but cornerback and safety, I'm waiting to see until I can watch preseason to really start to see a guy. And last year, who was it that somebody killed it in preseason then got injured? Horace Richardson? Does that name stand out? He was really good in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
He didn't make the squad because he got dinged up. But anyway, that'll be an interesting one for sure. I'm excited to see how that'll go. But for sure, and guys, be nice to the Raiders fan in there. He probably didn't make that decision. I think Butt will make the team. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So, and how many tight ends? We did see Carl said earlier that he typically likes to keep 4. So we'll see. Dawson, another name here. Tuska from North Dakota State. Good call here. I wish it was Derwin James Paul as the guy who's making the squad. That's my dude. I think Steve Atwater is the only one who liked him more than me, probably. So, here we go. Oh, well, that's it. The chat moves fast sometimes, guy.
Yeah.
Darian P., who do you see the Broncos drafting at 32 next year? Well, since Darian called me out earlier, maybe I should just throw out a Hawkeye and Alaric Jackson. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's hard to say so early, but right now, tackle and cornerback would probably be the top 2 positions. There's a number of guys that would be interesting there. I love Caleb Fairley. I love Sean Wade, but it depends on where the Broncos are picking the year they have, if there is a year. Samuel Cosme, there's a really good tackle whose name escaped me from Clemson right now, Alex Leatherwood. So we'll start to sort through those names once the season comes around. But right now it's easier to kind of pin positions and talk about individuals.
Right. I'll go Sewell of Oregon at 32.
God. Committed arson or something horrible.
Yeah.
Trading there's Bawana. Possibly. Oh, here's a good sleeper one. Levante Bellamy. I'm gonna throw it out there. That's an interesting one. Like you could see, of all the Broncos right now that we kind of know that we've seen the past few years, I think Royce Freeman is the one that could be traded. Now it wouldn't be a lot. It's like you're trading Royce Freeman in a 7th round pick for a 6th, just because you're done with him, you want to move on. But that's somebody that could fit a scheme. That's a certain type of player.
And I like this one. Austin Fort was having a great camp before he went down with injury. He was athletic. He was making plays for the offense when there wasn't a whole lot of plays being made. And then, of course, he suffered his injury. And so that 4th tight end spot, like you said, it's going to be a huge battle to see who can get that. Hireman, I don't know if they're going to cut him for cap space. We'll see. They might be keeping him around just in case there's any kind of injuries to make sure that they still have a pretty good veteran that can help in the run game. Fort, you got I'm trying to think.
My guy.
Yeah, Beck. You still have the 9-figured man.
Troy
Fumagalli, yep. So there's a lot of names for that fourth tight end spot. And it's just going to come down to who can help on special teams and who can be versatile in what they can bring to the field.
And I saw somebody also ask the long snapper this season. We're here to answer those questions. It's a long snapper, so I'm a little upset that Casey Kreider, Iowa Hawkeye, is gone. Everybody drink every time I mention the Hawkeyes. But, Jaken Bobenmoyer from Northern Colorado is going to be battling Wes Farnsworth. They have two guys right now. It's probably going to be just a camp battle for the long snapper.
Well, that'll be one for the ages.
So, and I did see, we didn't talk about it, but the Broncos I think the NFL added 3 guys can come back off the IR now. Did you see that?
Yeah, 3 guys can come off the IR, and they don't have to have them on the 53-man roster and then put them on IR after the final cut downs. Yep. They can just have them on IR from the very beginning.
Yep, that is Charlie taking the words out of my mouth. I think that's probably going to be the one. And I see Kevin Gamble, you said opinion here. Oh, Broncos top 5. Here it is. Broncos top 5 defense and top 10 offense, record 11-5. If the Broncos can have a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense and go 11-5 makes sense. Really tough schedule, going against a lot of teams. They're probably going to have some high variance, but I think that makes sense. So we will see. Obviously, a lot depends on injuries and whatnot. Carl, we've reached an hour. Bleh. Anything that you want to talk about before we get on out of here? Any words of wisdom for us all?
No, I think just appreciate everyone coming in here. Honestly, for me, it's just been kind of nice just to kind of tune out some of the things going on and just be able to talk some football and enjoy conversation once again. So appreciate that, guys. And, again, if you guys need to reach out in any way, you have our Twitters. You can reach out. I think our DMs are usually pretty open, so you can, if you need to talk or anything like that. But again, just appreciate everyone joining us here tonight and getting to talk a little football and just a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Hit us up on Twitter. Obviously, I don't always stick to sports. We're human beings here, and there's stuff beyond that sometimes. But empathy. Word of the day, word of the month, word of the year. Just. That's the best thing I can say. I don't want to preach. So appreciate you everybody coming in here today. That's going to do it for Building the Broncos. You can find Carl on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH and myself at Nick Kendall MHH. Make sure you're going over to milehighhuddle.com, an affiliate of the Maven Coalition and Sports Illustrated. If you like the show today, guys, like, subscribe, share it, talk about it with your friends and family. Just start pestering with it. I'm all about trolling. Just send them something every day. If you're a Raider fan, Winter. If you have a Raiders fan, just send them our show every day. Just say, these guys, they're great. You're going to love them. We'll convert you. So we're here for that. Head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and a comment, as your support can help us continue to bring you these episodes. You can follow the Building the Broncos podcast and all our other great audio content by subscribing to the Huddle Up podcast. Wherever you listen to these shows, you can follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle and at BT Football Pod. Carl, good to have some normalcy here this week, and good to have you back. Thank you, everybody who stopped by today in the Super Chat. We appreciate you. We love you. Stay safe. Keep your loved ones close. And as always, go Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.